Live. Is it working? Okay.
There we go.
We're live. Joe, what's up, man? Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, Marcus. Glad to be here and do another episode. We got ourselves I know we haven't been counting, but if we count back the months, I think it's episode 8. I think.
Episode 8. I mean, listen, we've been doing this for a minute, and what is amazing is that we have done it virtually, but we were just discussing right before this. Is like it's time to bring it in person. It's time to figure out a way to, put it in the studio. And if that's you coming here to Washington D.C. or me coming to Buffalo, and I'm doing a Niagara Falls tour, one of those two need to happen. But it's always great to continue to just catch up, but also give back to the community that we're involved with, and our careers, right? And our careers and our passions just happen to merge in this moment in our time, and it's amazing that we're able to kind of share that expertise to the world. So
100%.
yeah,
100%. Well, yeah, we're definitely going to have to orchestrate something where we get together.
yeah.
I know for sure we've met up a couple times at various events. I think it's important, we were just talking about how it just seems like the industry is in full force mode of just events and experiences all over, that it almost is, it's getting harder for even people to tune in to things like this,
Yeah.
but also for these even to exist virtually. It's like
Yeah.
you have to meet up in person and have that moment where you can do these almost improv conversations, which I know you and I have been actively doing for the last 8 months. So
Yeah.
it's important to keep seeing it grow. But I'm super grateful we have, and all the people that chime in and tune in for everything. So it's a busy summer right now. How's things on your end in the experiential world?
It is definitely a busy summer so far. And you're right. Like, one thing that this is like peak season in experiential and events. You have, of course,
B2C. I'd say the consumer side right now is just crazy busy right now.
So I think that leans into our topic today, right? We are going to touch on the B2B versus B2C in event marketing. I think that that's a great place for where we are right now to kind of talk about the difference. But as people join, like, first off, welcome to the evolution of engagement. I'm Marcus. This is Joe, and we are lovers of the career and the journey of experiential. But this place is a place of community. So if you see someone in the chat, or if you see someone who's attending, say what's up. Even send Joe and I a message. We're always communicating with the people that attend. And then shout out to even just the people that have joined us before that always return. And it's always amazing to see. So you're going to see people who work on the production side, creative agency, brand ambassadors, vendors of all type. Like, that is what this place is for that type of community. So again, Brandon, what's up? I see some people already joining and dropping some comments. So again, evolution of engagement. Thank you all for joining us here on this Friday. Also, tap in. What city are you representing? I'm in DC. Joe's up in Buffalo. So it's always cool to see just the areas and the cities that we touch with this conversation. So definitely tap in, drop your city, represent. Don't be scared.
Well, Marcus, to keep going on our conversation of, I know when we were chatting about like what we wanted this one to be about, it's more of a summer catch up and kind of just chatting on all things experiential. It seems to be, B2B, B2C hot topics. I've noticed over the last 7 months, within just the overarching 2024 theme has been really interesting, of like this intersection or overlapping of B2B, B2C, like all the way dating to January 2024 with CES, when I saw SK Telecom have more of like almost a festivalization of their trade show booth, which was just bar none like wow, this was incredible. And then you segue to more of a consumer facing activations at South by Southwest, but had elements of B2B where it was very like exclusive or more touch points that felt like it was demonstrating like programs or something
Yeah.
like that, or products and services. So really, really fascinating things that I'm seeing
Yeah.
the overlap of both. So this intersection of B2B, B2C is a great topic. I mean, I'm sure for a long time it's always been the case that obviously agencies and brands are taking elements from each and applying them, but
Yeah.
I'm noticing it a little bit more so these days. And I'd love to even kind of get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I have always been in the B2C space. Again, for clarification, B2B is business to business, B2C is business to consumer. But I've always been on the B2C side. I, but what I've noticed is that there are these time periods where you see more B2B events, and then you see more B2C. Like you were saying earlier, this is a big time for B2C as it's summertime, so all the consumer facing, there's these periods that brands are looking at, right there. It's between their third and fourth quarter. They're trying to end the sales a certain way, so they're really pushing product that is for 2024 or going into 2025. And so that the B2C space is kind of going crazy. And you look at WNBA All Star that just wrapped up here in Phoenix, Arizona. I think this was the first time they had sold out the entire arena for the All Star game. But your brands that were supporting, not only they support the NBA and the WNBA, they showed up, right? And you see that they're really trying to, one, stand next to these culture tentpole moments, but also really, really are trying to be get their product out there and amongst that audience. And so I have seen a difference in kind of mixing some B2B and B2C like concepts, but majority of the time, like that B2C is definitely about product engagement.
Yeah.
Can we get the sales? How can we, or brand awareness, depending on what the KPIs or the focus of that experience is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's timing right now with a lot of that intersection of B2B and B2C.
Yeah.
I almost want to say it segues to our other topic, which I mean they both kind of apply here, and that's the difference between creative and production agencies. Obviously, as people, it's funny. I was just having a nice conversation with a friend of mine who runs a staffing agency, and we were kind of just running through the gambit of what of when agencies and brands work together, which obviously is commonplace in our industry, right?
Yeah.
We're you and I are both agency side, and yet a lot of my friends brand side will always come to just people like us to get the intel, to get the insights, to trends, to just understanding what maybe how we could apply our knowledge to an activation or an execution of theirs, right?
Yep.
Well, my conversation was basing it off of agencies who tend to say they're full service or like fully integrated and can do everything. I've always noticed, can you though? Can you? Because I would argue some of the biggest conglomerates, the Omnicoms, the IPGs, the WPPs, Publicis, all of them, they have all those agencies under the umbrella of who they are, right? They
Hmm.
have a roster of agencies, and each one can say they do everything, but for sure there's
Right.
ones that are very particular and
Yep.
niche on what they know how to do the
Yep.
best, right?
100%.
I'd say that about our industry too. I mean, I don't think we have a ton of conglomerates that own experiential agencies. I know the Octagons and Momentums and all those are,
Yeah.
they are. But when you think about it, it's like, where is the difference and the differentiation of our space when it
Mhm.
comes to agency work? You have staffing agencies for brand ambassadors and tour managers and production. You have creative and strategy led agencies. You
Yeah.
have the production fabrication agencies, um,
Yep.
and then even like measurement and data, analytics. And
Yeah.
so I've noticed that, and I guess that topic of how do you differentiate them, and how do they apply in our industry most?
Yeah, I give this scenario, and I don't know if you're on Threads, but I've been going crazy on Threads and really showing a little bit more transparency about being at a creative agency, but more about like what are the roles, what is happening. And so with a creative agency, I think that like, so you take a brief, there's this idea, and now the creative team has came up with an idea. When we have, in like our specific agency, we have a production team on the inside, but also there are niche like fabricators that can do like beautiful murals. Like, well, nobody on our team is going to do a mural. Like, so you outsource that, or you outsource, you like, you begin to plug into the places that you need to. And it's not the case all the time, but it's about always tapping in with those there are production companies that just are really good at audio visual, and they
Right.
can do
Right.
crazy graphics. They can bring stuff to life that is out of this world. But what is amazing about that is like, at an agency, if they have a cool creative director or someone who can visually kind of continue to direct this production company, they can work together seamless, and they're going to
Well,
come up with something super amazing.
that's yeah, it's brilliant how it can work when done in a really efficient and like cognitive way, right? So
Yeah.
you look at when I was at C2 Montreal, right? That event that really brings in some super creative individuals and some really unique things that happen. Well, if you've heard of XP Land, which a friend of mine, Erica, she's pretty much founded and started it up.
Mhm.
Um, this XP Land is bringing together all the most creative people out there in our space, a lot of like really well-rounded thinkers of the space and like people who own venues and stuff like that. So she was kind of sponsoring the entire event, right? C2 Montreal. Well, one of the outings, which was called the XP Fronts, we went to a studio that was had an office and was headquartered in Montreal called
Yeah.
Rodeo FX. And I
Mm.
say all this to say Rodeo FX was obviously a visual effects and super creative firm
Yeah.
agency, right?
Mhm.
But but they knew how to do that, like down to the T, where they were working on like Stranger Things visual effects, like Lord of the Rings, like things that you're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
insane to see they're real. Yet you know that they worked and partnered with a supplier that fabricates some of these things and stuff. They didn't fabricate it, you know? And
Right.
so
Right.
to know that your strengths versus like the weaknesses or just, you know, your opportunities, if you want to turn a weakness into
Yeah.
an opportunity, it's like that's really amazing, you know?
But that's what it's about. And I tell when I meet with vendors or I have conversations, and you share a pitch deck with me and you're like, oh, here are our capabilities. Don't give me 30 things. Give me the five
Yeah.
that are your breadwinners, so I can immediately take that and say, I can share with my team and be like, or if I'm a partner or whatever, and be like, yo, they specifically do this. Tap in with them because they can do this specific thing. It's not about giving me your whole gamut, because everybody has that. Like, give me the things that are your breadwinners, that you feel the strongest about, that you can deliver on fast.
Yeah.
That's what you take out and you share. And it's like, 12-page presentation decks. Give me 6 pages of the your breadwinners. And again, like you said, you look at a production company that is really good at FX. If I see them, I'm like, damn, I know we got like a video that we're working on, and I want to take it to that next level. Let's tap in with them. You have the budget, you can get them. And
Right.
there's all of these puzzle pieces. And it goes back to one of our terms that we have to coin, and that's that Power Ranger, that's that puzzle building that we do, that our minds just, or I don't know, we're blessed to be able to do those things and kind of navigate this space and be like, oh, I know this person here that can be plugged in to an activation and bring that experience to life and give it that next level.
Now, Marcus, you had went to obviously Can Lion and everything,
Mhm.
and you and I both been to a handful of different events. I know I know like Comic-Con is happening right now, right? And then the Olympics are also starting up, which is a
Yep.
whole nother, whole nother level. I know a couple friends out going out there for that too. And it's like when you look at these big grandiose events or even to smaller scale activations or pop-ups, how have you seen or do you feel that a lot of agencies are applying their niche, their strength to brands who are looking to activate? You know, there's a lot of brands these days right now that are saying, where should we activate?
Yeah.
You know, honestly, there's people saying, let's go to everything, which, you know, is either A, a costly endeavor, or B, unrealistic, right? So
Yeah.
like, how does a creative agency versus a production agency help that brand decide where to go or where to show up?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say this stuff, but not hate. I just like when when you think about like where a brand should show up, it is definitely about, let's look at the numbers, let's look at the audience that we want to go after. If it is the audience that are attending the festivals or attending like going to different cities for different, like, here's an example. New York during the summertime is the place to be. If I'm a brand, I'm pulling up. Like, I'm pulling up because everybody's flying into New York throughout the summer, throughout the fall, right before it starts to turn, and then they come back in the wintertime. So if I'm a brand, I'm trying to figure out how to activate at these big moments that happen within the city of New York,
Right.
i.e., your opens, your basketball, Rucker Park vibe, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm just trying to navigate in those spaces.
Right.
And even the fest music kind of showcases that all of the outside venues have. But it's knowing, if I'm an agency, I'm going to take these pitches and I'm going to craft kind of like just a proposal to the brand and say, hey, this is your KPI for 2024 and 2025. It starts here in New York. We will sponsor X stage, and one in the park festival at the what's the name of the big park in New York? I'm blanking. But
The,
anyways, what's the big
Central Park?
Central Park? Central Park, and we're gonna sponsor all three, right? And now we're gonna take an activation that goes to each one, right? We're gonna tour it up, whatever, and we're going to push a specific product. The reason we're doing this because this type of audience is going to be in attendance. They go to your business X number of times. This is the reason why we want to show up there, and being able to show them that on paper with results and tangible results, because the question we get, how's experiential contribute to the return on investment?
Yeah.
It is, right? If done correctly, if you set the measurements at the beginning and
Right.
you track correctly, now you know what you're marching towards. We're not shooting in the barrel. Like, no, we're going to be strategic on how.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I mean, again, I reference all the things that are happening, like literally this weekend, just with the Olympics, Comic-Con, Lollapalooza happening, like the festival circuit. You start identifying which area you want to focus. So think of the festivals. You have agencies that really hone in on being able to do some seriously amazing activations and pop-ups for brands at festivals. First, let's say art fairs, like Art Basel or what's the one in LA? I believe that's called Freeze, and multiple others, and then there's conferences and events, specific to that too. So, there's agencies that we can encompass everything, and then further and get like kind of a little bit more niche and say, hey, like festivals and events and stuff. So, I don't know. It's an interesting topic because
It definitely is. I think that's something we want to continue to lean in on it and think about as we like as our community continues to grow, is how do we continue to tell people and give advice on how to strategically get your brand to show up in these places, especially coming from the creative agency side.
I love this question that
I love this question right here.
She and I are part of the you obviously, we had Kim as a guest.
Oh,
Kim,
yeah.
Kim is the founder of the Experiential Collective, and Brad's part of that too. And it's really wonderful because we have a combo of both brand and agency folks. So I love her question right here. Just saying, do you think the larger agencies analyze the scale of the event pop-up to determine if it's worth their time?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I can wholeheartedly say that a go, no-go process is done at most agencies. Now, you sometimes get the really confident and kind of going off like a viral sensation agencies. And there's just some out there that ride off the coattail of like a very successful activation, and then brands are flocking to them to do some of the bigger things, right?
Yeah.
But just to give a little glimpse into the world of agencies, obviously, just like a brand, you have to have a pipeline of events and experiences and just a pipeline, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what the sales teams are essentially for. And you really got to identify exactly that go, no go process there of saying, is it worth an agency's time?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes yes, just for the basis of like, let's say a relationship you're trying to cultivate and
Yeah.
hopefully maintain. Some just do it to put that on that little part of your website that has all the logos and stuff that you work with,
Yeah.
and then other times it doesn't make sense, and you really do have to have that hard conversation and say, yeah, you know, sorry, this isn't right for us, but hey, here's someone that we know, or you know, just trying to play ball really nicely with
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Joe, you said the last part you said is playing ball nicely. You know, that's what this is about. It is an exchange of services business. And so being able to look at these, you know, if a brand reaches out or if there's an opportunity, if it doesn't fit, like either you pass them to someone else that you feel like is capable of the job, or you may have that discussion internally, like, yo, is it worth our hours? Because again, time is money. You know what I'm saying? Like once those people start working on something, you got to charge. Hey, is it in scope or not? It's my favorite. That's my favorite term. What's the scope? That's my new T-shirt, Joe. We're gonna come out with a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's actually
What's
not a
the
bad
scope
thing.
here? No, just all kidding. But
No, I'm not. We're making shirts for that, Marcus. That's an awesome thing to just be wearing around on a, you know, at a festival, and you're just like, what's your scope, man?
what's the scope? That's funny. But I think also like you look at some brands that are massively big, they have different departments that have different KPIs. So,
Yeah.
for example, like at a Verizon type of organization, there's Verizon 5G, there's the app, there's the consumer version, there's these versions of the brand, or not versions, but these departments, right?
Yeah.
So they at 5G may take, because they focus on home and they focus on business, they may take the trade show because they want to be visible in that the audience. Again, it goes back, what audience is showing up? A consumer facing or their app may not go to a trade show. Doesn't make sense. So it's about like analyzing again from an audience standpoint, and also providing that recommendation back to the brand. Like, hey, we don't think that you all should use this, pull this lever from this direction. Like, what about this division of the brand? Like, and I think that's the conversation, that's relationship building, that's playing ball. It's understanding where you can push and where you have to understand, like, yo, this is the vision of that company.
It's 100%, Marcus, and it's funny. Brianna just also sent another thing. It's something that I've done in the past too. You know, turning down business. Look, let's call a spade a spade. There's a couple agencies out there that do some incredible work, and when they do it, they even get to capitalize on more of it, right? So think of the Giant Spoon, HBO, Westworld experience at South by Southwest back in 2018 it was.
Mm.
They still have that. There's still that. I mean, obviously now that's 6 years old of a case study, but you have that in during that time period when it was ramping up because of it,
Yeah.
utilize it and embrace it, right? So same thing with an agency called Verb. They were behind the all the Barbie, you know, crazy wondrous moments and experiences of 2023. They honestly were able to capitalize on that
Yep.
because you to Brianna's point, you can turn down business because you're like, look, I know exactly where we fit in and how we can implement and execute for our partners and stuff. So it's really fascinating when you see agencies do that, both big or small.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you get to the larger ones, little different when you're kind of working with maybe a conglomerate like a WPP, and you're like, hey, we have a social arm that's over here. We also have this content, you know, strategy agency, and then you have our production. You know, so that can get a little intricate, but still, nonetheless, really neat to explore. The agency world is really fascinating, Marcus. I know you and I have been in it. I've always been an agency guy. back in my tour managing days all the way to now, and it's just interesting because the
Yeah.
brand side is a world I don't really fully know because I'm not in it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. If you had to go back to your tour managing days, um, would you recommend that to, someone who's just coming out of school? They're looking to get back. They want to get in. They love events. They want to get their foot in the door. But just building up. Like if you come out of school, like the likelihood of you becoming a producer, it takes a minute, right? But you can maybe be a production coordinator, but you can bypass that if you already know how to do the tour and the setup and things
Yeah.
like that.
That's
So what's your thought there? And
that's a
it's going to lead us back to B2C. So
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, Marcus, I really actually appreciate you on that
yeah.
question. Truly, you're making me think. I already had a very introspective conversation at 8 a.m. this morning, but I'll do another one. I I gotta say, if you have a chance to do some, look, I did tours throughout all my 20s, and I
Yeah,
met one of my best friends and his wife, and now they've become mentors, and I traveled the world with them. So obviously I have a really biased opinion about touring. I'm like, wow, it was the best thing that happened to me. It catapulted me to this level that I'm at and all the people I've got to meet. So I say that with a grain of salt, which is I recommend people do it for the sake of if you're really interested in experiential marketing, what an amazing way to really know all the ins and outs of it. Like I came up in this experiential industry very unorthodox and was just a brand ambassador,
mhm,
promotional person that while you could say, hey, that's a great stepping stone to become an account executive or an account manager or director, my reasoning for being a brand ambassador was I wanted to be a tour manager so I could just travel.
yeah,
That's what I wanted. I knew I liked experiential, but I wanted to travel more than I liked experiential.
yeah,
Now they go hand in hand,
yeah,
but for me it was always about let's go. I want to go see everything, and so the tour managing was was tough. I mean, you always had to find a new tour. You were an independent contractor. Sometimes that you could find a program with an agency and go a long time. But
yeah,
I do recommend people who are very passionate about this industry do it because you really get to know the ins and outs of logistics, timelines, just production value itself,
yeah,
and to to round that back to what you were just saying, it was very B2C oriented, right? Like
mhm,
we were managing from what I know, and it's changed, I,
yeah,
I only did it from 2015 to 2019.
yeah,
Um, it's been a little different, obviously, post the pandemic too, but it's very B2C and it's a really great way to kind of be a part of that environment
yep,
while knowing that that's what I did and that's where my heart is. I'm also really, really I can use it to apply it and to the B2B space as well.
yeah,
Because that's where I actually mostly work now is in the B2B space too.
mhm.
So they both kind of coexist. And that might be an extremely long-winded answer to saying
Yes,
I do think people should do it.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I agree, and I didn't get a chance to do it, but I did have coworkers that I worked with at my previous job where they were that's where they kind of got their start in understanding that world because you can solve problems. That's where your problem solving skills get in. You quick on your feet, you know how to adjust, but also you get to learn logistics, right? And you can now get on the account side, which that's where I'm kind of leading this towards because of where you are today. And you look at a project and you like, oh no, we really do need 7 weeks to get this done because you're already accounting for travel, you're accounting for load in time, takeout time, all the like little things that are in between. And I think that makes you a Power Ranger. That makes you a secret weapon because you have these different like touch points that you have had over your journey and at the ground level of really putting in that work.
And
Um,
that's something that and it's funny, I just saw that comment as well, and it's true. I mean, it's like anything, right? Like if you can't go and tell people how to box if you've never really been in the ring, you know what I
yeah,
mean? So, it's a level of, hey, have you actually been out there, right?
yeah,
Um, obviously not everyone needs to go do brand ambassador or be a tour manager or even an event producer, but I'm telling you, it's a really cool environment to be in when you're younger too.
Yeah.
Just because you maybe have that little bit of that freedom to kind of go do these odd jobs and random things,
Yeah.
which is true. I mean, there's some stories that we won't talk about here, but
So you got to take those with you. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
But
And,
and then even further, it's so much opportunity because you do network with so many different things. I mean, I have a friend Carter who now works at an agency, Robot Proof.
yeah.
Carter and I have known each other now for pretty much over 8 years. I mean, he was at MKTG. It was and then did a tour with Olive Garden, and that's how I met him. And I was like, that's so cool that like the industry is that big and vast, yet it's small enough to say like
it's tight.
You get to meet people. So
yeah, I mean, Olive Garden, unlimited breadsticks and salad. I love it. We got a comment. Our best hires were always the ones who spent time in the field. If you live it even once, you're able to translate that to clients and successful campaigns. And it's 100% true. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't do the BA work, but after I went through the advertising program I did called Ad Fellows, I started off at Momentum, but I was a production coordinator. And my role solely was leading brand ambassador, the lead kind of contact for brand ambassadors across every program. So I just started to learn. I was basically learning their role at the same time. So now when I work with brand ambassadors, even up to where I am today, I'll still join the brand ambassador training. I mean, I can't even help it. I just want to be on there. But I also had learned that I loved when the brand account lead would come into the kind of breakdown meeting and say, hey, love, thank you for all being here. Like give that encouragement because there's this relationship with brand ambassadors that you can create that shows transparency.
right.
And so I took that into my space because I saw that where I was and I was like, I like that. So now in my role on the account side, every event I come, I clap it up. I'm one of them ones to be like, I clap it up, like, yo, let's go. Let's have that energy. Even though my production team is leading, I also create that space where it's like, yo, if you see me, you can say what's up. If you have a question, and that is because of just where I lived in it. And we've been able to have some great brand ambassadors on where I'm at today. And I think that's just one of those kind of little nuggets for the game. So I want to give that to the people. And then shout out to the brand ambassador companies that we've worked with and you all have worked with, but whoever may be here as well. So
right. Absolutely. I mean, Marcus, I guess that's a good time to also, by talking about B2B, B2C and going forth with the whole idea of like the different types of agencies and stuff. I guess what are you seeing or what will you be anticipating for the rest of the summer? I mean, I'm intrigued. I mean, again, like I said, Comic-Con's going on. There's going to be activations by, I think Hulu's got something there, eBay, like a lot of different things, and then, what's happening elsewhere as well.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely Comic-Con is the one to look out for and kind of see how the brands are stepping in the direction of tapping in with those consumers. Because the one thing I was reading is it was an experiential guide or insight for the remainder of 2024, and it was talking about leaning into those fandoms. We talked about that before of like really taking that to the next level. Is like how do you lean into fandoms that have their own niche communities? But I see that as a big space that is going to take off again this year or through the rest of the summer. Your festivals are going crazy. You have All Things Go coming up. Broccoli City is this weekend. Their headlining sponsor is Converse. So I'm going to the festival and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get there a little early before the shows start just to like look and see what's
that's nice. Marcus. Who was it? It was my friend. She's here in Buffalo, and I remember I went to Governor's Ball. Like, God, I think this was 2021. It was the one right after the pandemic, or maybe it was 2022. I just know I went to it. To go there, I mean, Marcus, you're gonna laugh, and I went there not for the intent to listen to the music. Even though I remember seeing Kid Cudi, and like that was awesome. My buddy Andy, who's from Switzerland, and he was living in New York when I was there with him. And him and I was like, let's go to Governor's Ball. But his mindset was like, yeah, I want to go see the music. I'm here from Switzerland and everything. I was like, yeah, but I'm here because I want to see the activations. And I was like, that's so weird. So I remember my friend from Buffalo. She goes, you're the only person I know who goes to these things for the activations. And I'm like, hey,
I want to see, because it goes back to like, what did they think? What happened in the creative room that has brought us here, right? And if I ever, Joe, I just came with a beautiful idea. I'll save it. I can't share it with the world. I'll text it to you. But it's about just seeing those ideas come to life. And we know that when we see it, we like, dang, they put in some work to get, like, you can look at activation and be like, 100%. Oh yeah, they put in some work to get here and see 100%. What it is.
That Dunkin' Donut, I've seen that Dunkin' Donuts one. I know multiple times. And that's why I always say there's like a festival circuit sometimes, just like there's the auto circuit. And it's like these brands show up at these festivals. And I've seen the Dunkin' one have iterations of it, but it's always like that double decker.
Yep.
And I really, and it's cool. It's different. It provides value to the attendees while staying relevant to the festival that they're showing up at. And also at the very essence of it all, providing something that's immersive or multi-sensory. And I love seeing that, because to your point, it takes a lot of people's efforts to do that across all the agencies we were just talking about. So
it takes a lot. Something else that I think is going to really take off, or I'm looking forward to, is definitely the WNBA finals, just to see what they do from, and I'm not too much in the commercial space, but I love commercials. That's where my love for the marketing industry started, is commercials in magazines. But super interested to see how brands kind of that are sponsors there show up. And then the pop-up space, I think you have your run from August to about November, where the pop-ups are, and the splashiness happens because it's the fall and the travel and things like that. So expect some big things that are going to happen with some brands that during that season. I saw a comment from Trisha. Trisha, thank you so much. Definitely shout out to the Ad Fellows program. If you are in college or 2 years out of college, definitely recommend the program. It's a great way to learn about the marketing industry, from data to creative to event marketing. So all of those spaces and those sponsors, even get opportunities with brands. Those are all sponsors with that program. So
Marcus, I love that, man. I think we should do that a lot more on these, as well as I know I've mentioned or referenced people and like different publications and or like associations, but I want to again, because I think it's really important to do that. And like, I know you and I have some mutual friends at these places, and you think about it, like, for anyone that is getting into an industry, in this industry, or is intrigued by it, wants to learn more about it, I always encourage people to look at, Event Marketer. I have a friend, Kate Shea, over at Event Marketer, Jeff Foreman working over at Brand Innovators, Kim Truce starting the Experiential Collective, or Erica, who's doing XP Land, and then I even have, there's another wonderful community called We Are Ichi, that's done by Liz and Nicole. And like, it's another really amazing community. I mean, these aren't, some of them are, you pay to join and you be part of it. Others are just free, and but they're amazing things that I'm noticing more and more of these communities. There's the WXO, which is like, I think, the World Experience Organization. They just held something in June in New York City. So there's just a lot more of these communities that have come together to showcase experiential, to provide more, insight, context. So it's really amazing. And I thought it'd just be good to highlight all those ones right now.
Yeah, and one more is Shop Drop Daily. Listen,
Yeah,
I'm gonna message them. I want them on this show. Okay, we need them here because they share some
yeah.
beautiful
I need
design.
to know. I need to know where they get the
Like,
source.
where do you get these photos? That's my first question when they get on here. Shop Drop Daily, you're seeing this. Expect another message from me because we got to make this happen. But also, Event Marketer Biz Bash. Like, I definitely want to continue because there was something you just said, and we kind of nodded to it. Is like, we know that if we go to an activation and we can look at the activation and say, dang, it took some people to get here. But to break, when we say it takes some people to get here, we are saying that there's a fabrication company that had to potentially, that agency probably reached out to see if they had a container or they had like these different elements, right? There are companies that just have those type of scenic elements. And if you're looking for careers and it's like you love 3D design, if you love graphic design, if you love DIY, like you should be looking at production houses that you can go in,
Great.
fabrication houses, and go in and build these things because you'll get a brief and be like, hey, I need you to make a life-size laptop. And to me, I'd be like, bro, I don't know if I'm doing that. But to someone who loves DIY and 3D design and can just craft things, you'd be like, man, that's exciting. Like, I want to, you'll think about every intricacy. And it's super important to know that like these type of jobs are out there, these careers are out there, and they all come back to the top of showing up at a festival or conference or Cannes Lions. Like all of these people are building towards one goal, and that is to be at this event. And just knowing that you have that kind of, you're one of those wheels or you add to that, is super important. And it's good to know that those type of opportunities
Uh,
exist.
that's amazing, Marcus.
Yep.
And just so people know, there is a lot of money that can be, like that's being applied to this industry. And just case in point, I just was reading the other day because I just saw the Deadpool and Wolverine movie last night. I have to go see it on the opening night, and I was reading about the marketing budget for it.
Mm.
It was like $100 million just for the marketing budget for them to go around the globe that they went, doing all the press tour, all the press, interviews and everything, and then even some of the scenic builds. I mean, if
Yeah.
you go to Comic-Con right now, they had a whole thing, or the premiere that I believe was in New York or somewhere, had like this more of a build, and
Yeah.
there obviously Marvel and Disney aren't going to spare any expense on something like that,
They're
but
not. But
it's a moment to recognize that it can be very substantial.
and I think that like I want to talk to this question, but like you said, like a Marvel, they're not going to spare expense because they understand their fandom. They understand that their fandom can look at something and be like, oh no, you missed a corner. You're like, you didn't cut that correctly. And they're able to tell you like, this is real. This doesn't come from the book. Like,
Right.
and they know that. But also, if you love that and you can design or you can draw or you can think, you're creative, your strategy, you can go to these type of production companies that get this work and be a person that's really driving that. And when consumers see it, you see their reaction. You like, dang, I impacted that, and
Right.
that's and it's what it's about. Someone's, I don't know who. Hold on, give me one second. Oh, that's Bill. Bill, what's up? He said, I think it's also up to us as industry professionals to be open to help those interested in the field to take 20 to 30 minutes to speak about our passion for the work, be infectious, help build the next group of rising marketers. 100%. I think that it is super important for us to do that. That's why I don't hesitate to pull up to conferences where I've been asked to speak, or if it's even career days. Like I was at a career day for sixth, seventh, and eighth grade young ladies who are here in the DC area. And the 2 nights before, I'm like, what am I going to talk to them about? Like, what is interesting to them? But I knew that the brand that I work on today, if I craft it correctly and show them the world around it that's all adjacent, they're gonna pick up on it really fast. And all I did was show 3D design, art, talent management, like all these little things that they could be like, oh dang, I can do that. Like, oh yeah, and you can get some money doing it too, and have your
You
passion and your dollar tied to it.
you asked, if I encourage or provide any like insight into the tour managing.
Yeah.
What my best piece of advice for anyone that I've ever either mentored or I was a mentee or just overall informational interviews I would do. I would say to network with anyone that you really really want to be involved in that space with, right? So that could go outside of the experiential industry. That's more of like just an approach that you should have towards a career and stuff. But when you look at it in the experiential world, yeah, I try to grant 20 to 30 minutes
Yeah.
to people who are interested in talking about it, who want to learn more about it, and then vice versa. I mean, when
Yeah.
it's an area that I don't understand or I just want to learn more about,
Tell me.
I mean, it's how you and I even probably I can't
Yeah.
remember how you and I met, but I definitely remember it was over this industry. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it definitely was. And I mean, that's what it's about. Always reaching back and reaching forward and to the side. Like your peers are your best, your allies, and they can help you kind of get into the next space. So um, I know we're winding down here on
yeah,
time, but we got a few more. We'll take some more questions. Any comments, thoughts? Please share. Don't be nervous. Again, this is evolution of engagement. It is the sole thing is to talk about experiential, but from all spaces. So you hear comments about brand ambassadors, production, fabrication. You hear us talk about the account side, sales. We always touch on these things, and because it's super important to know the direction and also just how vast our careers are, or industry, excuse me, is. And that's what this is about. And I want to continue for us to share those different intricate like career paths from 3D to copywriting to graphic design to fabrication. Like those are data analytics. Like these are key, right, to keep the industry moving. So we've already had one guest. Shout out to Kim. We'll have some more guests here.
we
Just to,
will. This I mean, I think as we saw what this was back in December of 2023,
yeah,
we thought, let's just talk about things. And I think you and I do a wonderful job, and I appreciate everyone for always tuning in and kind of just, whether they gain something or just hear of like a piece of inspiration or something like that. I think that's wonderful. And I'm always glad that we were able to keep doing these. And I hope we have some more guests and next time have even more to report on from the field.
yeah,
I know I'll be kind of diving back into the field a bit more soon, and I think that's where we see it. I mean, it's great to
yeah,
be able to see those recaps and those highlights on social or on articles, but when we go out there, it's
yeah.
pretty amazing. So
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have something for us. My last project took place at the Chicago NASCAR race, and I was there for 2 days activating the brand. And NASCAR is different. NASCAR is a different space, but in Chicago, it was really cool. And I got to I even did what do you call that? I got in a pace car. So like the car that kind of goes around the track, man, that guy was going fast. I was kind of nervous. I don't know how they do it, but it was an amazing experience.
nice.
And yeah, I definitely think over the next month, we'll see some stuff that we
Yeah,
can always share.
absolutely. Well, I mean, this has been great. I appreciate everyone for tuning in, Marcus. This is obviously another one where we get to dive into the intricacies of our industry, and I think
Yeah,
it's you think about it from the psychology to the embodiment of what we're even doing to
mhm,
like the physical components to all that stuff, and it's really great that we can see this evolution, and
yeah,
it's just going to keep growing. So
yeah, cool. Well, I think that wraps it for us, right, Joe?
I
Cool.
think so. Yeah. I mean, if anyone has any questions, feel free to connect with either of us, and we'll definitely be doing another one in August. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody. Joe, thank you again. Evolution of engagement. Let's tap in. Again, don't be afraid to reach out to people that have joined. You can see the attendance, but always be respectful and respectful of each other's time as well. So have an amazing weekend. Much love.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.